I went in the military in 1943. In 1942, I enlisted in October. Two of my buddies, fraternity brothers, said, Paul, we were in college, and we both, all of us were in our second year. We were fraternity brothers, and one of them said, why don't we all become naval aviators? It wasn't me, one of the other guys. I said, marvelous idea. He said, well, I have to go to Minneapolis. Minneapolis, a couple hundred miles north. Got in his car, convertible, drove up there. We all passed the test. And who do they call first? Me. January 1943. That's when I went in. And they called me to Iowa City, Iowa, pre-flight school. Tough. 2 months of
I was in the Army Air Corps.
Army Air Corps. Okay.
That was before the Air Force was formed.
And what was your job again in the Air Corps?
I was a radar mechanic, and we installed radar on the planes, B-17s and the 24s. We come into land, nobody knew where we was at. We had no idea. And there was, like I said, there was over 5,000 on the boat. There's pilots and aviators and nurses way up high on the boat, and here we were down here low.
They were having a lot of casualties up there, and I got all at once I was a rifleman instead of being an artillery. And I was assigned to machine gun platoon. We was in Division Reserve at the time, and that started off, and we moved one company up, and they got shot to pieces. That was July 27th. It was hot and rainy, and that fighting had been going on for better than a week, and there's bodies laying all over, and the stench was just terrible. You couldn't get away from it. Well, I don't know about scared. I guess I just hoped I didn't get hit.
I have a unique distinction of setting foot on Vietnam soil on my birthday, 1967, October 25th. I was 22 and soon found out I might not make 23. But the night that really everything changed was the night of the Tet Offensive late in January, 68. We had some little things going on before that in Long Binh, but that night basically the whole country blew up, and a lot of the public perception of the war changed. But that night will just kind of forever changed me because of we lost some people, and like I tell my grandkids, it was close to being a name on the wall that night.
I was actually at a restaurant having breakfast with a colleague, and I got a phone call from one of my military leaders and asked where I was at. I told them I was, where I was at, and they said, "Are you near a TV? You got to see what's going on." And for some reason, it didn't click that we were under attack. The first plane was just like, oh, someone accidentally ran into a tower, and then bam, just almost a few minutes after we turned the TV on, the second one, and then the phone calls started flying. The U.S. is under attack. And none of us really knew. I mean, we didn't know. The local National Guards scrambling F-16s and, giving orders to, tell all planes to land or we'll shoot you out of the sky, and just, it was crazy, crazy stuff. I had subordinates calling me, what are we going to do? What's our plan? We always planned to fight war on foreign soil. We didn't spend a lot of time planning to fight a war on our own soil. So it was really that next several days were very difficult.
at night, they'd bring the personnel that was wounded out. We couldn't put them in the bow doors because of the light. And they'd bring them over the top side, and another guy and I would put a sling on a stretcher and lower them down in the tank deck to the hospital. And I could see what they looked like. And from then on, I said that the Marines could have the credit for winning the war on the islands, and I would quit my bitching and just do my job and be thankful, because those guys were really shot out.
So I was assigned to a 4.2 mortar company, and the platoon that I was assigned to was on the front lines at the time. So that we landed at October 5th, and on October 12th I was taken up to the Hook area. The Hook was a battle, one of the major battles of the war. There were times when the Chinese were probably 150 yards from us. We could see them easily if they were careless enough to show themselves, because when they did, they didn't last long. The first night on the front lines, because me being a rookie, I had to stand guard in a trench. Well, they send out patrols at night, and they told me that whatever you do, if you hear something hit the ground, don't panic, because sometimes they'll sneak up and throw a rock, and they get some sort of movement out of somebody. Sometimes the rock will hit you, and if you make a move or make a noise, then they throw a grenade in. But it was, I was scared to death that first night.
When we got ready to go for an operation, every morning they served us steak and eggs on ship. And when you're down in the mess hall, you could hear a pin drop on the ground. It was that quiet, and everybody just kind of looking around, see who's there, who's not there this time. Wonder who's going to be next. So we was getting ready to move out to a new LZ, and that's when we got hit, and we lost probably about 2/3 of our company. We was getting ready for another operation. His name was Jack Beard, and he was packing up a lot of stuff. He was real quiet, so I went over because he was in one of my fire teams, and we got talking, and he says, "I'm not coming back after this one." He said, "My number's up." And we talked a little bit and stuff like that, and when we did go in for the operation, we got hit pretty hard that first impact, and then later that day I found out I did get killed. So stuff does happen.
They told us in boot camp we'd be in Korea, the draft that I was in, or the platoon that I was in, we'd be in Korea in 6 months. I worried about the cold more than I did getting shot going over, because all the reports coming back, they showed the movies of frozen feet, and you know, you just can't, that's hard to operate when your feet are freezing. Northern Michigan up there looks just like Korea. And I go up there to the Porcupine Mountains in Michigan, always thought I used deer on up there, and it reminded me of Korea. One hill right after another hill, you know, I was always taking a different hill.
I was scheduled to go on the mission, and I had my flight gear on and everything. And the skipper come up to me, Skipper Rooney, and said, "Paul, I want Basket to take your position on this flight." I said, "Yes, sir, Skipper," you know. And he went out and got shot down on that mission. The next morning, I was on the flight to go out to look for him. they saw him get out of his aircraft and get into his life raft, so he was okay, but nowhere to find Basket. So, nobody knew what happened to him at the end of the war. I got out of the war, but one of my good buddies stayed in, and we had a reunion in 1990. And I said, Bill, I said, whatever happened to Basket? Did you ever hear? And he had stayed in, so I thought he may have heard. Yeah, he said, but you don't want to hear about it, Paul. Yeah, I do want to hear about it, but he said they captured him. This was on a little island called Miyako. I said, what happened, Bill? And he said, they captured him, they took him to Tokyo, paraded him up and down the streets, and then beheaded him. Well, the Japanese did a lot of that stuff, but it really hurt. It hurt more because he took my place, but, it wasn't my time.
It's amazing what 1 year in your life in combat can do to you for the rest of your life. I have some really bad days, but, I see people up at the VAs that are so far gone. I don't know if some of them will ever come back. And I just feel so thankful that I'm here, but I miss some people terribly.
There's not a day goes by that what some aspect of the Battle of the Hook doesn't enter my mind. It's there, and some part of it flashes back every day.
There's a lot of guys that went over there that came back, but they didn't come back. And I think what a lot of it is that it was probably one of the major things in their life. So they kind of keep hold of it no matter if they want to or not. And I think that's where a lot of the guys got PTSD, and there's a lot of that. They just keep living it over and over, because I got a friend that's about that way. For a person that's never done it, there's no way they can tell what you go through. When you sit there and see somebody you shoot and you shot, you remember that. It stays with you. So, like I said, it takes a while for you to get it out of your system. Some guys just don't.
Well, the minute that you put the round in the chamber and you point it in the direction of the enemy, you're committed. You are now committed to write that check for your country. Whether I ever pulled a trigger or not, the fact is that I made the commitment that day that if I have to, I will take someone's life, and I'll give mine if I have to.
Well, the American flag represents, it's sacred.
The flag means a lot to me. Every one of the things on that flag means something. How we fought to get our freedom. And when I see them mistreating the flag, I don't like to see that. Because that represents to me is freedom that we fought for in this country. Our forefathers and everybody fought for this freedom. And we have the best living in the world right here.
Well, it's worth fighting for. That's what it means.
Well, it's a symbol of my freedom, a symbol of my way of life. And there's nothing that can beat it, I don't think.
Flag means a lot to me today, and that's why I hate seeing it being abused. When they're making shirts out of it, wearing hats out of it, and underwear out of it. And to me, the flag means something. I love my country.
Well, I showed you my American flag and my cap, and there isn't anything more important to me. It's life itself. I get so mad when they do things to the flag. You read about burning the flag, and it's just there. It's just there, and it's so beautiful.
After I lost my buddy Mac, the flag took on a whole different meaning. And it always has, but it's gotten more important to me. It's freedom, sacrifice. The red in there is just blood to me some days, because a lot of people have spilled blood for this place. Freedom, it makes me proud. I'm proud of that flag. It's not a piece of cloth. I had somebody tell me that once. It's just a piece of cloth. After Vietnam and looking at it now, I mean, it's more than that. It's the people that died for that flag, and how proud you feel.
You know what, I hear a lot of people say the Pledge of Allegiance, say the Pledge of Allegiance. I don't say the Pledge of Allegiance, I pledge my allegiance. That's what we're supposed to do. And we do a good job of pledging devotion and loyalty to our families, to our churches, to our jobs, but we don't do a good job of pledging devotion and loyalty to our American flag. If you think about battle, the flag before mechanized infantry and electronics, Civil War and before, the flag led the battle. If you think about it, soldiers in the rear ranks only knew the direction of the battle by the way the flag was moving. And I really honestly feel like I'm woven into the fabric of our American flag.
There by ourselves, we was talking, here come this group, and all these kids come up, single file, started shaking our hands and saying, thank you for serving. And every time I think of that, I get choked up.
I got married on the day that Japan signed the surrender sheet, September 2nd of '45. And
So what,
it's been a good life.
what's the secret of being married 68 years?
Doing what she says, I guess.
You know, I just think that I had a wonderful life experience. I mean, life has been so good to me that I think, hey, how can you be so lucky to be 90, almost 91? I get up every morning and I thank the good Lord that I'm still alive. And then I try to do something good. And I don't always do something good, but I try. I try to say, hey, I'm going to help somebody today. And I try to do something nice. I would have to say that the serving in the Navy was probably the highlight of my life. I'm glad that I got a chance to be a fighter pilot, you know.
I'm just so proud to have served my country. It's one of the most important things I guess I've ever done in my life. Because I was with some great, great people. Wish they were here now. Doesn't work like that. I got that figured out, but the tears still come. And I'm so thankful the good Lord decided to keep me around for a while. And I think it's very important to me for the young people to know that iPad, where that iPad and iPhone and computer came from. Somebody had to fight and die for you to have the right to do what you do and can do and don't have to ask anybody's permission. So, God bless this place.